Grand Rising, Grand Arrival, Grand Return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Chief Sophia of the Americana Band of Indians, and this is like a review to the State of the Union, a response, also a discussion about energy and why it's important to, detect how your energy is being used. And I usually don't wear my sunglasses, but I had the absolute worst night of sleep. So today is March 5th. I have no idea when you're going to see this because I have recorded, I don't know, 6 videos and I have not put none of them up. So I don't know if it's going to go up. I don't know, but this is just important to at least put a record to. So let's talk about energy first. Let me talk about this night of sleep I had that was awful. uh I had a very difficult time going to sleep. I did watch the State of the Union in full, and I thought it was a really, really good speech. And so I was really pumped up, but I still could not go to sleep. And I'm not a person who has a problem going to sleep. Usually, as soon as I close my eyes, that's it. I'm out. But I could not invoke that feeling, um, that sleepy feeling, and it was very, very unusual. And so, um, when I finally was tired enough, where I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna be able to go to sleep now. Um, just before I went to sleep, I had like nightmare visions. And I don't have nightmares. I don't allow these entities to get anywhere near me with that foolishness. And so the fact that I was feeling the nightmare like feeling was really like, okay, so what is actually going on? And then when I went to sleep, I was fine. I didn't have any nightmares, but it's like going to sleep, like, I don't know if this is a thing. So this is just, it's like, you're going to ready to go to sleep, and all of the terrible things that you can think of, that's what comes up in your mind. That doesn't happen to me. I don't have those kind of issues. And so I thought it was really, really unusual that I was having that problem. So when I did wake up, and I had to get up several times to use the bathroom, which was also a little unusual. I haven't really had that as an issue for quite a while. So when I finally did wake up this morning, I was exhausted, like completely exhausted. And I had to really fight the temptation, the urge to lay back down because I had to get my day started. And after that, I still ended up, being late to get out the house, late to my stop, late getting the stuff done that I needed to get done because I left out of the house so late. And so on the drive to work, I'm considering like, okay, so I know I want to make a review response to this State of the Union. I know it's important to bring out a few points, but at the same time, I'm really not feeling my best. Because I had the idea in the house, like, oh, maybe I should try to make content on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are my day, so on and so forth. So it was all very, very unusual. So unusual that I said, okay, all right, well, I'm just going to take a nap. Then I'm like, no, I need to make a video. So I'm going back and forth. And obviously, here I am making the video because, that's just me. So I say that to say that I feel like energetically, without talking about the content, energetically, there has been a push for our people to be distracted from what's going on. What do I mean by that? I'm sure many of you all heard that there was an individual in Texas who was unalived with his daughter. And I had heard this story over the weekend, and honestly, I didn't give it any attention at all because um, going backwards, there was a story about a young lady whose children froze to death. Two of her five children froze to death outside of a casino in Michigan. And I put some energy into that story. I was really upset about it, and I was thinking, like, we have to do something. Our women shouldn't have to go through this. Well, a few days after that, it comes out that this particular this particular individual was actually, how would you describe it? She was inside the casino and had left her children outside the casino. And there emerged videos of this woman right after her children died, partying and just behaving erratically. And it triggered the memory I have of working with the teen moms in DC, and how oftentimes these girls would like say, oh, it's the fathers, it's this, it's that, but then they're out doing drugs or stuff they're not supposed to do. And so I was like, oh, she's one of those women. Okay, I see. So I had a conversation with someone, and they had the opposite position. They were like, no, this is all really awful and you're being biased and this and that. And, I'm like, no, I'm not. After this situation with this woman, I can't give this man no energy until I find out the rest of the story. I need to wait a few days until we get the rest of his story, because what was he doing that they murdered him? Like, unalived him. Like, I want to know what it is. Like, I'm not getting no energy until I know exactly what was going on, because I just had in my mind this whole thing. And it's interesting because, as biased as I am towards Black women, I'm the biggest supporter of Black women. So I'm on both sides of the. If a Black woman is doing what she's supposed to do, I'm her number one supporter. And if she's on that BS, I'm going to call her out first. I do both. And yeah, that's my general personality. We always do that over here. Same thing with our men, if something is not right, I will, in the most respectful way I can, make a comment about it, because I don't generally talk about Black men. I just try to avoid that altogether if I can. And if there's, some sort of issue, I talk about it as gently as I can, but I am also the first to heap praise when praise is due. So I do energetically do both sides. So I say all that to say that this is why you have to know yourself and know your chart. I was hesitant, very, very hesitant, to put my energy into the situation with the young man being unalive with his daughter, because I know that what I, as a generator, or a better term for a generator in human design is creator, I, as a creator, or creatrix, because I'm a female, what I put my energy behind, I amplify. And this is different for those who are manifestors, which manifestors can put their energy behind anything. And it's not necessarily going to do anything unless there's a generator to, or a creator, let's just use generator, unless there's a generator to push the narrative forward. A manifestor can manifest anything that they want, as long as there is a creator or a generator to push it forward. And so if the manifestor doesn't have a generator, then because they don't have the energy to actually push the narrative forward, they have to convince the generator that their manifestation is worth creating or generating. And so if you know what your human design is, which you can go and pull it up for free or whatever, if you know what your human design is, you can understand how you're supposed to respond to things. Most people are generators. I think they said 35% of the population is generators. So that means 35% of the people in the hood are generators. And so if you've got all the generators generating or creating violence, in the terms of this gang behavior and all this other crazy stuff that's going on, then it's just going to be a self-perpetuating. All you have to do is get a generator to create it one time. And once they create it, they're going to, this is like quantum manifestation, they're going to continue to reprint that over and over and over again from generation to generation and generation. There's a song or a line by T.I. Where he says, standing on the corners because that's what our daddies taught us. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. When you learn that that's how things are supposed to go, you just continually reprint and recreate that reality. Now, manifestors have a much more difficult time seeing this because what they manifest, they didn't create. They don't themselves create. They manifest from what's around them. And so if you have a manifester that's surrounded by a bunch of generators that's generating or perpetuating a behavior that is not good, then you're going to have the manifestors actually tap into that energy and start to manifest that thing that's not good. So from the bottom up, you start to see this thing unfold. Because I listened to a person who does the readings for the human design neutrino astrology, which I think is really good. But I think he got it out of order because he said the manifestor comes first and then the generator. And I don't think that's the case. I think the generator is the one who is the first into reality. And then the manifestor comes in and manifests based on what the generator generates. Because, I mean, it's like a chicken and egg, but still, I could see it the other way. Let me just put it that way. So, now, what about the projectors and the reflectors? The projectors are going to take that information from the manifestor, who is manifesting what the generator is generating, right? The manifestors cannot manifest something that the generator is not generating. They have to have it in their reality. So, for example, I'm friends with a manifestor, and without having someone like me around with my particular worldview, especially as it relates to working and all of that kind of stuff, she could never manifest what she wants in her life because she has to have a generator who is generating what she wants in her life. That's how it works. And so projectors are the same way, except projectors are going to project out to their outside world. They're going to place the image. They're like the icon. One of the icons, I guess one side of it is a projector and the other side is the reflector. But they're going to project out what the manifestor has manifested. So a perfect example of this is my oldest daughter is a projector. And as a generator, and a mom, I often wonder if what I'm saying gets through to her. Like, if the way that I'm carrying myself is a way that she can, she is internalizing and actually putting forth. So about a week and a half ago, maybe, she told me that she had this big fallout with her group of friends because one of the friends decided that they did not want to basically put any more energy into the friendship. Now, this particular friend has some, personal stuff going on. And so I had said to my oldest child, you have to give her some grace because this and that is going on or whatever. Being a teenager is very difficult. And so that's what I told her. And she said, no, well, you still have to want it. You can't, there's no way this is going to be a one-sided scenario where I'm putting forth all the energy to maintain our connection and you don't value that. And so as me being who I am, I know because what I'm seeing my child project out is exactly was my specific goal for her to learn in this life cycle based on, even before I knew her chart, but just based on being a woman, in this country, This is the thing that I wanted her to be able to do, to be able to decipher when, okay, you're putting energy into someone and they're working on themselves, they're trying to get better, or you're putting out energy and they have actually just given up on themselves. So you might need to take a step back until they are ready to make the effort on themselves. And I saw that projected out for her situation. Now, of course, it doesn't make it any easier because you don't want people to not be friends and so on and so forth. So I told her, as a generator, because this is what I'm generating, I said, give her a few weeks. Y'all will probably all just be fine. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure everything is going to just resolve itself. That's what I told her, because why? I'm the generator. So I'm generating a positive resolution to their situation. I'm not going to be generating them fighting forever. That's not helpful to any young person to be, going through multiple friend groups and stuff like that. That's not helpful. So I'm generating with my consciousness and my energy a peaceful resolution to their situation. So that's how projectors are. Projectors are going to act on what is being generated and then what is being manifested. Now, because we don't have a manifester in our house, we do, but that's my son and he's still little. It's not a one where we would all be playing off each other's energy. Right now, it's just me generating the energy and her projecting it out, which is fine. Okay. Reflectors are just basically going to be an image, like a mirror image of what is being generated or manifested for them. So a reflector is just going to be showing you, like literally showing you back what you've done. So a famous reflector is oh Lord, what's that lady's name? Oh my gosh, I can only think of Carolyn Carter, Jimmy Carter's wife. But that's not a famous one. There's a famous actress who's a reflector. Anyway, but if you look at her movies, I think it's Sandra Bullock. Miss Congeniality, I think it was Sandra Bullock. But anyway, when you look at this particular reflector, all the roles that she plays is a reflection of modern culture, meaning she has made her movie empire from playing characters that literally are a representation of the culture that we're in. I wish I had hold on, let me see. Hold on, now it's going to drive me crazy. Y'all know how I am. Because I had it on the top of my mind and now I can't remember. All right, let me look. Let's take a look-see here. Let me take a look-see. Save the chart. No. Yeah, was it? Let me see. Who did I say? No. Who did I just say? Y'all, my brain is frozen. Oh, yeah, Sandra Bullock. Yep, I was right. Okay, it was Sandra Bullock. Yeah, Sandra Bullock is a reflector. And so she has made all her money as an actress reflecting back the actual culture of what's going on right now. The movie I saw with Sandra Bullock in it was the Bus movie. I don't remember what it's called, but it was a reflection of a bus being taken over by the terrorists or whatever, and that was at a time when there was terrorist attacks. So you can see how these different aspects play out. So I say all that to say, since most of the people are generators, and I myself am a generator. Now, I'm an emotional generator. So what I put my emotion to, that is what gets motion. That is where the motion comes from. Where I put my emotions to. If you're just a regular generator, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, you just gonna keep. You don't have to put emotions to it. You're not going to necessarily be emotional about it. You're just going to be out there creating. Now, remember, generators are creators. We are the ones that's creating, creating, creating. Not to say that other people don't create, but if you look at the way that a generator or creator creates, like look at me, I start all kinds of projects, and I'm how many things have we, this is what we've been doing on this channel, learning all this different stuff, going and doing the research. Who could have the energy to maintain this level of sustained activity over the amount of time that I've been doing it? Most people don't have the energy to do that, but generators, they have the energy for sustained activity. Manifestors don't, projectors don't, reflectors don't. Only generators can't. Now, manifesting generators are different because they're a whole circuit in of themselves. They have the idea, then they execute the idea, and it's a constant cycle of having and executing, having the idea, executing idea, having the idea, executing idea. They don't really have to be involved with too much else. Now, the problem with manifesting generators that I notice is that they don't necessarily have enough energy to generate a complete task, and they also don't necessarily have enough manifestation. They don't have a defined enough manifestation capability to actually fully manifest what they want. So they can do everything themselves, but they would be greatly impacted with the addition of a manifestor or generator in their life. But they don't need one. They'll always be making progress, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be great. Because it's just, if you are doing the job of a manifest, it's just like what are those like if you get a pen with multiple colors on it, like you press the thing down and it goes to the multiple colors. This is classic Centennial Pluto and Scorpio thing. Yeah, it's a pen that has a bunch of colors in it, but can you actually use one pen to write well? No, it's going to keep snapping back, and it does the job of multiple colors and being a pen, but it doesn't excel at either one. Like, it's just, it gets the job done. So a great deception by manifesting generators is that they don't need a manifester or a generator or anybody else. And I don't think that that's true. I think we all need each other, and most manifesting generators do not really understand what needing someone looks like. So that's just my observation from, I know all these different types. These are my observations, except for reflector. I don't personally know any reflectors. I'm looking for one though. So what does this have? So back to this whole thing. So me being an emotional generator, that means that when I see stuff out in the media, this is why I just make the record. And when I go back and comment on it, I wait a few weeks. That way I can see how things have shaken out since the event happened, instead of making a knee-jerk reaction to every single thing in the media. By waiting a few weeks, I can kind of see how it shakes out and see where the energy is actually flowing towards that particular subject matter. So in the case of this young man who was unalive with his daughter, I didn't put no energy into it. Now, the manifestor I know had put a lot of energy into it. But again, when manifestors put energy into stuff, unless there's a generator to generate a response, it's not going to work. So this individual and I are going back and forth about this particular incident, and I'm just like, I'm not putting my energy towards this. And so we came to the conclusion that it was a distraction. Like, this was a distraction so that the generators out here would keep generating this kind of behavior. This is very much like what happened in 2020 with Corona. They got the generators all scared especially with shortages as it relates to toilet paper. And what happened? All the generators started generating a toilet paper shortage. The manifestors started manifesting a toilet paper shortage. The projectors started projecting out, oh my gosh, there's no toilet paper. And the reflectors, they're reflecting back to everybody, oh my gosh, there's no toilet paper. And then there was no toilet paper. Like, I still remember this in 2020. I was following the story with the virus, because at that time you could still get videos out of China. I had seen what was going on there, and I was like, this is crazy. But thankfully Americans are not stupid enough to go for this. No, Americans were, because the story got revved up in the, now mind you, I didn't even watch the news at that time at all. I got all of my information from social media. I wasn't watching the news, and yet as a generator, it still affected me, because I went out looking for toilet paper. I could not find any. I had to go an hour in the opposite direction to get a small 6-pack of toilet paper from a grocery store. That's how bad it was in my area, and there was no explanation for it, because I had gone to Costco on Tuesday, and I was like, oh man, I didn't have enough hands left to get the toilet paper. I said, oh, I'll just come back and get it on Thursday. By the time I went back on Thursday, the toilet paper was wiped out. Because I wasn't, as a generator, I'm just always generating. Like, I'm not, I'll just, I'll go somewhere else and get it. Well, I went to 5 stores in my area, 6, 7, 8. I was like, oh my gosh, these people bought all the toilet paper. And so that's why I had to go way far out, got a little small pack, and we bought bidets and put them on the toilets in the house. And then I didn't have to worry about it so much. But yeah, that was really a good example of how you can create a frenzy by using the generators to generate more lack. So what or whatever it is, to generate whatever response you want. So what the media, the propaganda media, the lying lamestream media has done with this is they will put out a story that will get the the generators riled up. They'll do it from the top down. They'll reflect in a story, they'll project it down, they'll get it to the manifestors, and the manifestors will convince the generators to keep generating it. So the natural order, like I just told you, generator, manifestor, projector, reflector, that's the natural order. They do it in the opposite order. They take their reflectors in their televisions, their media people that they're telling you are just like you, and they will reflect that down from the reflector to the projector to the manifestor and then to the generator. And then the generator just starts generating and generating and generating it. That's not the natural order. The natural order is generator, manifestor, projector, reflector. And a manifesting generator, they're kind of like on the side because they operate in a closed circuit. They're not really, I would almost say they're like autistic in that manner. Like most manifesting generators are completely outside of whatever is happening to everybody else. They just don't have unless they really work hard. Again, it would behoove them to take the position of a generator or a manifestor and work more on that, but they won't do that because they think they're perfect the way that they are, most of the ones that I know. So, the media, the propaganda media has taken to working this in the opposite way. So what I do over on this channel, and one of the main reasons why I make videos, is to actually set the talking points, to set the agenda. And so what I'm talking about starts to show up for everyone as a generator in the position that a generator is supposed to hold. Now, again, I don't come to this position by myself because I work with a manifestor and we go back and forth and come to the conclusion of, okay, this is what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. So again, as it relates to this story with this young man and his daughter that was unalive, we came to the conclusion that it was a distraction. It was a distraction, especially the way that it projected. It reflected into a projector into a manifestor into a generator. It's not supposed to go like that. And so when you see, again, something like that happen, you have to stop and say, well, what are they trying to distract us from? And I said, for me, all of my energy was focused on the State of the Union yesterday. I wasn't putting no energy in nothing else. Like I said, I made videos. I didn't even post them because all of the energy need to be focused on that particular event, because that is the most important thing that is happening on this planet. If we can get peace between these barbarians in Europe, because these are the barbarians. These European nations are the barbarians. If we can get peace with these barbarians in Europe, there will be peace. And all this bloodshed, all this stuff will be over. Now, I always say, not top priority, no unnecessary pain and suffering, and no unnecessary bloodshed. We are at a critical moment when we could have on this planet, for the first time in probably a millennia, that we have no unnecessary bloodshed and no unnecessary pain and suffering. We are very, very close to that. My energy is focused there. And so I'm talking to this individual and I'm like, I'm focused on this State of the Union. I'm not paying attention to nothing else. And that's where I came up with the idea of, they try to take stuff out the natural order. It's supposed to be in the Constitution. It says we the people. It doesn't say I, the king. So that's what the propaganda media is. They act as the king, the reflector, trying to reflect down on the people what the people need to do. But really, it's the people, we the people, that generate up to the top what we want to see. This is why I don't understand any gloom and doom, any people thinking that things are not going to work out, because that's not what we're generating. I spend all day, all night, effort in generating a future that I want my children to live in, and holding that vibration and holding spaces, like of energy for people when they're ready to convert. How many videos have I done saying, hey, let's reconcile. Hey, let's pray for these people. Or maybe not pray for them, because that's a very, very strong word, but let's hold a space for them. Let's hold a space of love and light for them. Let's, project out on this thing of abundance. Let's, like the light language activations. Let's, make it possible for people to activate their higher selves, without all of this other interference that the spiritual community wants to put between you and the creator. This is the kind of stuff that I'm working on. And so if you have an individual, if you see something, like for me, when I see things being manifested in front of me that I know I didn't generate, I have to call it out and say, no, I'm not creating that. I'm not generating that. I'm not involved in that. You're allowed to do whatever you want, but I'm not getting involved in that. And it's not in a way to me to be disrespectful or anything like that. Y'all know I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I have to really stand 10 toes down and say no, because I know that if I allow even an iota of this, whatever it is, to create, that I'm just going to continue creating it. This is the same thing I learned as I worked with this energy. So if I know in my chart at a certain time period, based on how astrology works, I'm supposed to be experiencing X, and I'm not experiencing that thing, something is wrong. Something is wrong. That's why we are going to go back to doing the daily reports. That way, if you see something manifesting in your life that, especially if you're a generator, if you see something manifesting in your life, if you're a manifestor, if you see something projecting, if you're a reflector, if you're a projector, if you see something reflecting, and if you're a reflector, if you see something generating in your life, that's because that's the natural order. That is not exactly what the energy is for the day. Then you can take the necessary steps according to your sign to deal with that. Because if you don't, if you don't take the necessary steps and you continue to allow something to just go on and on and on and on without actually dealing with it, then there's no place for it to. There will have to be a very strong pattern interrupt in order to stop it, which is not good. So like I said, I put my energy into the State of the Union address. And I do not regret that. The State of the Union address, I highly recommend you go see it. Watch it for yourself. Do not let anybody just report it to you and you say, oh, okay, it was bad or it was good. You need to go watch it for yourself. You need to come to your own conclusions. You need to listen to your own spirit about it. It's already over, so you can put him on, put it at 1.5 speed. I mean, if you like to read the speech. It's out there. It's very, very important that you understand the direction that this country is going. You live in this country. Many of y'all, this is your native land. If you don't understand where your leaders are trying to take you, you will not be successful. Everyone has to participate. The valley is not optional. Like, everybody has been skirting around the valley, trying to avoid it, and you're not going to avoid it. Things are going to be very, very difficult for some people in the coming months because they are trying to avoid the valley, and their attempts to avoid the valley are going to make things much harder for them. Over here, we flow with the energy. Because we flow with the energy and we know what the energy is supposed to be, it is very easy for us to go along with how things are changing. The people who are not properly flowing with the energy are the ones who are going to have the most problems. And I could, point it out to you, but it's unnecessary. People need to be doing their own reflection at this time. The number one thing is, not the number one thing. One thing is that there's a lot of talk about tariffs, and people are unaware of how revenue works. So if you're listening to someone talk about tariffs who is not also discussing revenue, then you're listening to someone who is a propagandist. They have an agenda. Okay. Yes, the tariffs are going to create some higher prices and discomfort in certain areas. That is an absolute fact. However, they will also create revenue. People think that, the tariffs get charged and that's it. Well, what is the tariff? It's a dollar amount. It's money. It's revenue. So if more revenue is being created, that's more revenue to be distributed to the people. Again, back to the sovereign wealth fund. What do you think they're going to do with this revenue? These people don't need money. Just like Elon doesn't need money. Trump doesn't need money. He has his own money. They're not going to steal it like these people who don't have anything, who've never created anything. They're going to distribute it to the people in loans, grants, housing, food, better regulations, whatever. It's going to be distributed to the people. The tariff money is not just going to be taken from the people and not go back to the people. That's what's happening. The restructure that's happening is literally, instead of taking from the American people, using the American people as a piggy bank to fund like Denmark, their entire structure of life, where they have these great vacations and their good schools and good food and all of that is on the backs of Americans, because they charge extreme prices and tariffs for their stuff when Americans bring their stuff there, and then literally the government takes that tariff money and distributes it to its people. This is how all of these governments in Europe operate. They take in our money from our products that we produce here in America. When they're imported into their country, they charge a huge tariff. They take that tariff money and they distribute it to their people in the form of maybe low gas prices or whatever they subsidize. They distribute it to the people in subsidies. And so if you don't understand that a tariff is a revenue source to be distributed to the people via subsidies, the person you're listening to has no idea what they're talking about. Most people do not account for revenue in their businesses. They have no idea how to account for revenue. Most of the stock market is based off a revenue model. If you don't understand how revenue works on multiple levels, you don't understand anything. And most people do not understand. I saw an actual economist say that Americans pay the price for tariffs. Not the case. We don't pay the price. We may pay a price, but it is redistributed to us with subsidies. That's literally, it's a cycle. It's a circle. What did I say? Scared money don't make no money. So if you're scared to spend your money to buy food, then you can't make any money because no one's going to buy your product that actually pays you. It's a cycle. So these people don't understand anything. This Keynesian model of economics or whatever this crap that people do is ridiculous. And I suggest that you just ignore. So yes, the tariffs are coming. They started today. They're going to be a little bit difficult for people for a little while, and so it's going to be a little difficult. We're going to have to, as a country, come together and work it out. So that's why it's really important to know. And Trump said that. He said it is going to take a little bit of time, but in a short time, you'll forget about it. Everything will balance back out. And based on the first presidency, that is exactly what happened. When he did something, there was like a market, response, and then all of a sudden things kind of turned around and they evened out. Remember, when Trump came out of office in 2020, gas was $1.68. Okay, gas was $1.06. People don't even remember. Gas was $1.68. When he got into office, gas was almost $4. Where I was in Maryland, gas was almost $4 when he got into office. And by the time he got out of office, it was $1.68. Okay, so we're talking about things that happen over time. So that's one thing. Another thing is you had Representative Al Green of Texas. He got kicked out. And because he was yelling and screaming and acting like a maniac in that session, which is a formal, they call it a lack of decorum, which I told you that is what these officials should be charged with so that they can be jailed. But they had a lack of decorum. He had a lack of decorum, so he got kicked out by the sergeant at arms. Well, after his lack of decorum, no other Democrats did what he was doing. Nobody was yelling and screaming, nothing. And congratulations or kudos to Speaker Johnson for not allowing that to go on and on and on and on. Because if we had a Speaker McCarthy, he would have let that thing go on and on, let them get their talking points in and all of that. Because they didn't want to be put out. Because basically, if you have a lack of decorum on the floor like that, they will literally take your seats, your committee seats away from you, because the Congress gets paid like this. They have a base salary of like $170,000. Plus, they get paid for every committee that they're on. So that's why they get paid. They get paid a lot of money. Plus the stipend, plus all the other stuff. They got a liquor store in there. They got special loans, all kinds of stuff. And so if you're a seasoned person like he is, you're on a bunch of committees. So Speaker Johnson could just strip him of all his committees. And that's a good portion of his legitimate income that's just going to be gone. And so he needs to be made an example of. He looked like a straight monkey out there yelling and screaming and acting crazy. But after he was kicked out, these people don't have no backbone. They all sat down and was like, their little ping pong ball cards, or they call them pickleball things, like they were going to an auction. You put, that's what they look like. Like, oh yep, I'll take one of these. And the things that they said on them were crazy, and the memes are already super fantastic. But the Democrats did not come out of order, not one more time that night. Now, I would like to point out that the only thing the Democrats did, now mind you, Trump offered them an olive branch. He said, can we just come together for this night and celebrate these accomplishments? And basically they said no. What are some of the things that they said no to celebrating? Well, they said no to celebrating the Lake and Raleigh Act. They said no to celebrating the nature preserve that was named after a beautiful 12-year-old girl that was murdered by some TDA gang members. They said no to our brother DJ Daniel, who was made an honorary Secret Service agent honorary Secret Service agent at the State of the Union, who had brain cancer. And I'll bet you anything, because a lot of people don't know this, but Trump had signed into order a bill, I think they put it into law, and it's called the right to try, because due to the Obamacare regulations, basically what happened, if you had some kind of unusual terminal illness and you went into a hospital, think about that Terry Schiavo, they they wouldn't try anything because it's too risky. You might, the parents or whoever might sue, family members might sue, and this and that. And so instead of giving you something that might actually help you, they would just let you die. So Trump has signed into law a bill called the right to try. And so that means that if someone comes into a public hospital, they have a right to be given whatever the doctor suggests that they think will keep that person alive. And I have a very strong suspicion, because he was supposed to die 5 years ago, and that would have been after the right to try was signed. So I have a very strong suspicion that this young man, DJ Daniel, is still alive because of the right to try. They literally had to try everything they could to save this young man. And he's just 13 years old. And his father was there with him, and clearly they're from Texas. But he became an honorary Secret Service agent because his life dream was to become a police officer. That's what he wanted to become, a police officer. And so many people have deputized him, but actually being a Secret Service agent is one of the highest jobs, police agencies in the country. And so he was very excited by this. They gave him a badge and everything. I'll be praying for that brother so that he can live a nice long life. He deserves every bit of it. But the Democrats are not staying and clap for him. This is a child with he had 13 brain cancer surgeries, and the Democrats couldn't clap for him. They couldn't clap for a young man who his father had been killed in the line of duty in LA, and they gave him an acceptance into West Point, the military academy right there. Trump said, "Oh, you're going to be accepted," and the guy was so happy. And DJ had actually gone over to the guy and gave him a high five. So it was really, really like precious, like all the different things that happened. The Democrats did not clap for any of that. They didn't clap for no tax on tips. They didn't clap for no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. They didn't clap for anything that normal people would be excited to hear. But you know what they did clap for? They clapped for continuing the fighting in Ukraine for 5 more years. That's what they clapped for. They want to continue that war. And the optics on this are just, I don't know. They can't recover. They can't recover. I mean, I've been saying this ever since election day, but they can't recover from this. This was just, you can't. And then the propaganda media, again, talking about this whole projecting, reflecting down to projecting, down to the manifestors, down to the generators, try to project out this story that somehow the MAGA supporters were going to terrorize DJ Daniel and convince him to commit suicide. A propagandist actually said this. They said it on TV. Outrageous. The media, that's when I got angry. I was like, oh, these Democrats, they're bad, but I don't have to be angry about this. No, you cannot say something like that. This man survived 13 brain surgeries, not 1 or 2, 13 brain surgeries. His father was right there supporting him on this thing. And he even in a little video, he thanked his father for supporting him. You can't do that to someone. You can't project that down onto a group of people that they're going to convince a child to unalive themselves because of MAGA supporters. No, you can't say something like that and get away with it. So anyway, that's why you need to go and watch it yourself. Another thing that's really important that Trump said that is really, really critical. You are perfect the way that you are. That is the official policy of the United States. I've never I don't know what to say about that. Why, they not allowed, but they basically forced, they coerced a whole generation of people to think that something is wrong with them. They're in the wrong body, this gender ideology, and also the DEI stuff to an extent. That's not no longer the policy. The policy of the United States is every child is perfect the way that they are. Every child. He said that. Everybody is perfect. He said every child. He was talking about the children specifically. You're perfect the way that you are. You didn't grow up in the wrong body. None of that stuff is true. You are perfect the way that you are. That is a marked turn from 2008 when Obama was telling the kids, no, something's wrong with you if you don't, believe in this gender ideology, because that's what's been pushed since 2008. And so you need to know that way people can be proud to be who they are. You don't have to be like anybody else. Your uniqueness is a valuable asset to the United States. That's what he said in the speech. No one's going to talk about it from that perspective. And that's really, really important to understand. And so there's a lot of other stuff that's going on, but those was the main things that I saw that I wanted to point out. And so again, please go watch it for yourself. Understand he also said Zelensky wants to make a deal now, whatever. We're not even going to talk about that. Maybe in a couple weeks when we see how it shakes out, but we're not even going to get into that. So I would say, again, this country, and most of what he said, the actual policies, positions of our leadership in this country is exactly what I've been saying here on this channel. So as a generator, a high vibrational generator, I have been generating, what did I say? No unnecessary pain and suffering and no unnecessary loss of life. These two things have become the policy of the United States. I did not do that by myself. It took a concerted effort, but it took a generator to start it, to instigate this particular push. Now, our next thing is to let our children know that they are perfect the way that they are. They are amazing and talented and great the way that they are. Make America great again is also make, insert your name here, great again. You're always great. So make yourself great again so that you can see the greatness in yourself. Is a marked difference between making yourself a god where you're demanding that someone serve you, and making yourself great where you are flowering, you are illuminating the planet with your immense talent. And that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm going to end with this. I was watching on TikTok, there was a story about a guy who had interviewed a priest, and an Orthodox priest. And during the interview, they kept hearing knocking. And the guy was like, the priest was like, oh, that's just the demons. They hate this story. And he said, hold on a second, let me go in and get these demons out here. So he walked outside the building and he said, go away. And two important things about this. He said, number one, the demons hate it when you laugh at them and how stupid they are. And during the State of the Union speech, that's basically what was happening. Trump was laughing at the Democrats to their face because of their ridiculous. He told them, he was like, he told them how to save their party too, but he was laughing at them. He was literally making fun of them as he was extending the olive branch and giving them the necessary it's like if you have a dad who tells you the truth about something, your mom, she's just like, oh, you're okay, everything is all right, just do that. But you go to your dad and your dad is like, no, you're a fatty, you need to get it together. Like, yeah, that's what he did. He gave them a stern talking to as a father figure. And as a result, we were laughing at them because they really, I'm laughing at Al Green. He's insane. He looked like a crazy person with a cane shaking it. He looked crazy. Someone should tell them that they look crazy to their face. And he did. Trump told them to their face that they looked crazy. And they were on the wrong side of every single policy. Because before he told them they were on the wrong side of every single policy, he invited them. Please, let's celebrate the accomplishments of America together. And they rejected that offer. So that's one thing. Now, let's talk about the story that the priest told. This is the story of the prodigal son. So let me do a quick version of the prodigal son from my perspective, which we haven't done anything like this in a while. I did it with Sedna, but I want to point something out in the story of the prodigal son. Okay, so the way the story goes is that there is a man, and he has a son, and he has a daughter, and the son uh, decides that he wants to go out and live his life and have a unique life experience. And so he asks his father for his inheritance. And his father gives him his inheritance, and the son goes off to the city. Well, when he gets off to the city, he starts living a lascivious life. He gets all caught up in the big lights and the fascinating things that are going on and these fast women and all this stuff, and soon finds himself without money. And so he becomes so hungry that he goes into the pigsty, basically, and begins to eat what the pigs eat. Well, at this great low point in his life, this dark moon, you may call it, he realizes that he can indeed go back to his father's household, and at least his father would, treat him like a servant. Even the servants in his father's household were treated better than this. So he goes back to his father, and his father is so happy and excited to see him that he gives him his ring. He kills the fattened calf, and they have a big party celebration that the sun or moon, who was lost, has now returned to its fullness. Well, this angers the daughter very much, because the daughter, or the son, S-U-N, she never left. She did not need to go and see what the city was like. She could tell with her great wisdom that she didn't want to live that city life, that she didn't want to have that experience, that she wanted to, stay in her father's house and do the will of her father. And so she goes to her father and she says, you gave him the fattened calf. You gave him your ring. You're having this big party. You just brought him right back into your covenant. And the father, in his great wisdom, says, you never left me, so you get the benefit and the glory of always being my number one, my SUN. But we must celebrate, because my son or moon was lost or dark, but now he's found. This is a celestial story. The Son, SUN, or the Holy Spirit, never left. She was always with us. The Holy Spirit was aroused in Daniel. The Holy Spirit was who the prophets spoke. They spoke with the help of the Holy Spirit, or the SUN. It was the moon who needed this journey into the darkness, i.e. a dark moon, in order to recognize the great light that his father had given him, i.e. a full moon. And so the demons don't like that story. I'm out here in nature and the wind has picked up tremendously. The demons don't like that story because it tells you two parts of these things. If you stay on the right path and you always do the right thing, it doesn't mean you won't have troubles, because guess what? The weapon was still formed. The daughter still had to endure the loss of her brother and his return, which was all pretty traumatic for her, but she stayed even and she stayed consistent. And the moon, or the other son, the sun, SON, he left. He thought he could be God. He thought he could be his father, and he left his father's house and journeyed into the abyss and experienced the darkness in its fullest, and came to realize that he could not be his full self without his father. And so he journeyed back into the light. These are two paths. You don't have to go into the darkness. This is what we've been talking about on this channel. It's not required to go into the darkness. Well, it is required, because even the sun experiences the darkness.